Hello. Today we recognize Veterans Day, like we always do here in Fort Mojave. We have a long and proud history of serving in all military branches, and we also have that same history in serving in wars all throughout the world. Each veteran has exhibited honor, courage, and commitment for their family, for the tribe, and for their country. And today we recognize that sacrifice. I am proud and humbled to have served in the United States Marine Corps, just like all the veterans are here in Fort Mojave and for the branches of services they have served in. We truly appreciate your acknowledgement and your recognition on this day. Thank you on behalf of the Fort Mojave Indian Tribe.
Okay, we're going to go down some art paintings and drawings that going to be about the warriors of old, the Kwaname. This first picture is each ganab. It's what it means is the storyteller. After each evening, usually the oldest would tell stories for after all the chores are done and dinner was eaten. That was our entertainment at the end of the day. Some of them would be fairy tales or about history, or he would tell a creation story. Yeah, the next one is the Kwaname warrior, what this is all about. The tribe would usually can tell when someone's going to be a warrior because when a little boy was born, he would be very aggressive and he was rough when he would play with the other kids, and he also could stand pain, and he grew up real aggressive all his life. And not only that, but after he got a certain age, he would have a dream about a red-tailed hawk, and that meant that he was going to be a warrior, a future warrior. You know, before I stated that dreams of a Kwaname started when he was a young man, but actually it was sometimes even before he was born. The dreams of the Kwaname began at birth, or even while the unborn child was still in his mother's womb. In his dreams, spirits appeared to him, conferring power, instructing him in proper modes of fighting and teaching him how to avoid injury in combat. Kwaname dreamed of the hawk, a predatory bird whom he would later emulate in battle, and he dreamed of going through dust, which signified that he would come through war unscathed. He dreamed of fighting and killing such ferocious animals as mountain lions and bears. In his dreams, he seized the animals by the legs and split them in two. Kwanames were unlike other Mojaves. Their mode of living was Spartan. They were relatively insensible to cold and heat and were unconcerned about going 4 or 5 days without food. They ate little, taking only 1 meal a day, and they ate alone. They were uninterested in women and sex, few of them marrying until they had grown too old for combat. A Kwaname did not farm, although he might hunt or fish. He spent most of his time reclining in a scheduled spot while meditating on the subject of warfare. Kwanames are described as even-tempered, little given because a small man might be a better fighter than a big man. The people believed that the eye of the Kwaname was like the morning star, enabling him to send the enemy in the distance. A Kwaname was totally indifferent to death. His thinking was continually dominated by his supreme concern of battling the enemy. In war, Kwaname competed among themselves to kill the first enemy. Certain honors occurred to the man who was the first to kill. Only Kwanames who had killed first were entitled to wear eagle feathers. 2 or 3 men in the tribe ranked as head Kwaname or war chiefs, for whom there was no name other than Kwaname. Like other Kwanames, they theoretically attended their positions through proper dreaming. Each war party was conducted by a head Kwaname whose powers were minimum and not clearly formatted. Although he was not responsible to the tribal chief, the head Kwaname acted as a leader and an officer on the war party. And when the party approached an enemy camp, he stopped the warriors and gave them instructions relative to the attack. The tribal chief was not a Kwaname and did not go to war. You know, after when a Kwaname passed on, in the old days, or as we say in first times, the feather ceremony was awarded to the warriors who performed historic deeds or gave their lives for the tribe. It is still given, but seems to include those who devoted their lives to the tribe and those whose ancestors within the last 100 years merit the award. The orator has charge of the preparations such as having the eagle feathers ready and tied to long sticks or feathered canes, painting the face of the departed black, the warrior's color. The feather ceremony is performed during cremation ceremonies. For example, if they are going to cremate tomorrow, they start the feather ceremony at midnight. The orator tells the history of the war and tells about the man in his line who did the brave acts and why his lineage deserves the ceremony. Nowadays, nobody might know what happened way back, and so this is the same thing, he said, but it is sung over and over. The runners began the last run. They have been standing on one side. The runners run together at a given signal. Each takes a feathered cane. Half go one way in a large circle and half go the other way in a large circle. Break the canes, run to the river to purify themselves. When dawn comes, they are lighting the fire and sing the farewell songs. This next one is Spirit Woman. You can see right through the painting because she's a spirit. And what a lot of people don't know nowadays is way back at the time when we were going to battle, the women would follow their men into battle, either their father, their brother, their sons, cousins, or even good friends. And they just went with them to know that they'll be by their side. And they didn't carry any weapons, and a lot of them got killed in battle. This next one is Grapevine Canyon. A lot of times when there was a battle and the cavalry was coming around, the warriors would drive them in one direction while the women and children and elder people would go in another place to hide. And one of those places was Grapevine Canyon. There's a big forest way in the back, and no one didn't know it was even there for many years until recently. This picture's here of two warriors or runners in the past. They were known to run over 100 miles, in a day. But today they're called our spirit runners. But way back in time, there are messengers where they would send messages to other tribes. If something's going to go on, a clan gathering, a wrestling match, or sometimes even war, where they would go and tell an allied tribe that there's going to be this war at this certain area, and they would come and join them. This painting is of warriors getting ready for battle. Like most southwestern tribes, they would start war or go on their travel towards war when they seen the first sight of the morning star. It was known as the war star. And that's when they would all start to gather near the river and go wherever they're going to go have a battle. Mystic maze, Neohav Kamativ. That means where the spirits gathered to sing and dance. After battle, the returning warriors would stop at Mystic Maze to pray and get rid of the enemy sickness that they didn't want to bring back into the Mojave camps. Guki, that's prayer, asking the Creator for something. This is what a warrior would do after he returned from battle, and just giving thanks to a victorious battle. This painting is a picture of Mojave men and women singing and dancing, and there was a big celebration of again if the battle was victorious. Again, this is another picture of a mystic maze. It is also a place that the warriors that didn't make it back but died in battle, after cremation, their spirits would go through all the rows of mystic maze to cleanse all their sins that they did in life. And they went in towards a different direction. They went south towards the Needles Peaks. Celia E, sand dunes. After Mystic Maze, the spirit would go on its journey and go into Topak Gorge or Hakriam Avi, meaning where the battle took place. And there they would go around the corner in the gorge and they'll come up on huge sand dunes. There's the last place of the soul of the spirit would cleanse itself before entering the shadowland or spirit world. This is the painting of Hakriam Avi, or the Needles Peaks. It's the 3 tallest peaks that are sacred. That's where the spirit goes into to enter the shadowland. It is our version of the Golden Gates before you get into heaven. After cremation, this is a painting of a spirit going up into the spirit world, and up above you can see his family, and there's trees and there's watermelon patches, he even has his horse, and it's just like this world, only better. This is a spirit world how I imagine it, by listening to stories, and where it's a better world and everything is as it used to be in the past. And this painting is like all the tulies and trees that used to be here before more people started moving in this area. Again, the spirit world, there's also where the desert landscapes are, and at that time they're all full of life. And the spirits would ride the sky, sometimes in the clouds. And again, spirit world as it's been described to me, it's all as it was in the good times. And here you have people playing hukan or shinny. Sometimes when the spirits would come back down, come to this side of the living world, they would go and visit people and friends and relatives all over, and sometimes they would ride the whirlwinds across the desert. Oh man, go to up. This is when he's retired. He's done everything he was supposed to do. He's been a planner, been a farmer, been a warrior, he's been a messenger, and father, grandfather, great-grandfather. After a warrior became too old for battle, he would still go into battle to advise the younger warriors. And he was very much respected, and he would go back into the village and tell the people everything they're going to be doing for that day. He also would settle arguments, and people would go to him more often than they would the chief for advice.
Many veterans who returned home were wounded or sick, or suffered from what is now known as post-traumatic stress disorder. There was no medical or veterans pension for them. They were left to care for themselves, and many suffered in misery. The Mojave Mexican veterans saw other organizations forming and decided to form their own post to address their specific needs in the Needles community. Members of the original group were Sanford McDowell, Harold McDowell, Hilton Bricker, Nelson Barrickman, Kearney Williams, David Foss Sr., Henry DeLeon, Bob Guerrero, Toribio Andrade, Mitchell Hammond, Claude Lewis, just to name a few. For many decades, these veterans would provide services for their fallen comrades, post guard in colors, and march in many numerous events in the tri-state area. That tradition of service continues to this day. We thank our tribe for supporting these activities to honor our veterans and promote the memory of those fallen veterans who made the ultimate sacrifice so that we live in freedom and justice for all.
In the service, and I came home. I got a chance to march with them in one of these Memorial Day parades here in the cemetery, and these guys are like these veterans. They were all World War II, Korean War veterans. And here I was. When I should see them, in parades and other. When I was younger, and like I said, Sanford McDowell, he played a big part in that, where he was one of the commanders, of that. It was I forget his first name, but DeLeon was his last name. He was another commander that we had, and I remember Emery McDowell and Paul Garcia, senior. They were all in that group, and we did a few here. In the Needles Cemetery, we did a few Memorial Day, and we did funerals for some of the some of the families that their loved one passed away in the military, and they used to have here in Needles. I think I forget where it was at, on Front Street. They used to have the post. That's where the post was. The American Legion, that 195 post was there, and they had like a little office there, and they had a refrigerator. I remember they had a refrigerator in that little office, and they had a table. We all sat around this table. We were going to do some kind of event, and so they, like I said, they did a lot of different. I mean, that organization did a lot of good things for the tribe. I think they did, reached out to families where I think one time they had like a food sale, not a food sale, but like a giveaway food. I think it was during the holidays. They were doing they're trying to make some kind of funding where they got these food sales going, and they did there's families that had needed whether it was Thanksgiving turkey or whatnot, but and then it was kids. The kids needed gifts. I think one of them played Santa Claus. One time for that. I think it was downtown though, in the park over there. Later on in the years, when a lot of these older veterans passed away, and then they kind of disbanded. Because we had it wasn't just tribal members that were in the American Legion, but there was non-tribal members, that they were part of it too, So, but we kind of just, after some of these older veterans passed away, and they kind of disbanded. But then again, we picked it back up back in the 90s. Like say, I think it was 90, 94, 93, around there. And Kyrat Lamavatu, he played a big part in that, where As a matter of fact, he kind of got it going, again, and
I believe we have each a calling in our life of what we're going to do for our people, how we can be able to sit on this earth, because we're all given a will to live. And with that, sometimes the kids are grown up with that warrior mentality with the society, and there's no discipline. So therefore, the military does discipline, and that creates a discipline. So that way, you don't have to be able to do the things that you do. So yes, there is an influence. There is, like say if I see a child that's really militant and that has that warrior spirit, how do you hone that? How do you control that? You teach them right. You just don't lie to them. You don't lie to the children. You keep everything real with them, so that way they can grow up and know the truth. The question that you asked me, is really something, from my upbringing, is that yes, it does influence of the stories that we were told of long ago of our people that protected us, that went out and did raids and protected us against our enemies, whomever those enemies were at the time, and they protected the children, the old people, and the mothers and stuff. And so the young men are the ones that grew up in a society. Sometimes they started them young, put bow and arrows in their hands, they put clubs in their hands, they made them play games. One of the games is Hukan. They made them play to build endurance, and then pretty soon there's this factor of what they build up to, is to be able to have this mentality of warrior, the warrior that resides within us. We serve our people, we serve our land, we protect our lands, we protect our people, we protect our rights, we protect our resources, what we have, what little we have left, and that is allowed to us that we originally had. So with that mentality, we come back and we understand what we have to fight against. We have to fight in legal wars. We have to fight with the senators. We have to keep ourselves in that aspect. We come back and then we continually help our people. We stand up. Sometimes we're spiritual leaders. Sometimes they're councilmen. Sometimes they're preachers. Sometimes they're cultural representatives. And that warrior spirit that also lives inside of us is also not only for the military, but that spirit resides in the people here.